A few weeks ago, Valve raised the price of the Steam Deck, and I didn't get a chance to make a video about it, so I'm glad this is coming up now because, wow! Gee willikers! Basically everyone is having to raise the prices of their hardware right now, like just across the board. All the big three have done it. Switch finally had to do it with the Switch 2. Component prices are skyrocketing, AI, yada yada. But the amount of money that Valve raised the price of the Steam Deck, absolutely shocking. Just shocking. I mean, Nintendo can get away with raising the price of the Switch 2 by, $50. We're seeing, regular $100 increases from Sony and Microsoft. Valve with the Steam Deck, let me tell you. They discontinued the original model of the Steam Deck. Now they only carry the OLED model. So in my eyes, that's already basically an increase. I think it's, I think it's really interesting how I guess the demand for the OLED one was just that much higher. Because, for me, I want the lower price. I don't want to pay for the extra storage or the better screen. I want the lower price. But whatever, people like the OLED. And so, yeah, already that was higher than the amount that I paid for my Steam Deck. So then the 512 gigabyte OLED model was $549. It has increased to $789. And then the 1 terabyte OLED model, from $650 to $950. See, are you hearing me? I'm sure you already heard this. This is old news, but whatever. Am I hearing me? $650 to $950. That's a $300 increase, an almost 50% increase. The top tier model of the Steam Deck is now close to $1,000. And the really sad thing is that the Steam Deck is still a really great piece of hardware. I've actually been using mine a lot recently to play Dark Souls, which is pretty much the only thing I've ever done with it. I played Elden Ring, and then I played a whole lot of Dark Souls. I think probably 90% of my time on my Steam Deck has just been playing Dark Souls 1, and it's doing the job real well. So it's a capable machine, but it is still old tech by now. Especially Nintendo hit the scene with the Switch, and that kind of got the handheld console space really going, and then the Steam Deck came in, and since then, even just in the few years since the Steam Deck, we've gotten all of these other machines, and now the Steam Deck is outclassed in terms of power. A lot of machines are stronger than the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck does have that Valve magic. It does work very, very well. The battery life is pretty good. A lot of these higher end handheld PCs, they don't have a lot of battery life. They're not quite as easy to use. So there's still a lot of, there's still a lot of good to the Steam Deck. But the value proposition is dropping really, really rapidly. And for close to $1,000, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people, even people who are like, look, I love my Steam Deck, but at this point, you might as well just get a ROG Ally. It's probably just a better deal. So that's the Steam Deck, but then to get to the more topical portion of this video, Valve just revealed the prices for the Steam Machine. They revealed this, would have been last year, right? And we were all wondering what the pricing would be. They were in just a very unfortunate position, kind of similarly to Nintendo, where they're like, hey, we got this new system, and then all of a sudden the world goes to heck, and AI, yada, yada, yada. So they had a plan for the Steam Machine, but they have had to change that plan and price the thing a lot higher than they initially wanted to. I'm hearing people say that originally they were thinking of pricing it around the $700-something range, which would have put it not too much. Well, actually, what are they selling? What are they selling a PS5 for now? $650, and the Pro is $900. So yeah, $700 something would have put it sort of around the same ballpark as a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, okay. But now, the cheapest model of the Steam Machine, the 512 gigabyte model without controller, $1,049. Okay. All right. So the cheapest model is already above $1,000. And naturally, things only go further south from here. 512 gigabyte model with controller, $1,128. Also having to sell that for a pretty good price. Then the 2 terabyte bundle without the controller, $1,349. 2 terabyte with controller, 1,428. I don't really quite know why just disk space is still so expensive in this day and age, but apparently it is. An extra terabyte and a half costs multiple hundreds of dollars, and that's just on the consumer end. I guess that's not even like what they're paying for it. I don't know, whatever. I don't know anything about this stuff. Point is though, Steam Machine is going to range from basically $1,000 to, I mean, you know, after tax and everything, 1,500 plus. And that's a lot. That's a lot. You don't need me to tell you. That's a whole lot of money. And I'll completely admit that, like, I really don't follow the PC hardware space. So, like, I may not fully understand what the entire point of this was. The way I've always seen it, it might not be correct whatsoever, but the way I've always seen it is I thought the point of a Steam machine, just a piece of hardware created by the company, so, you know, kind of mass produced, rather than doing that thing where they kind of just collaborate with Alienware or whatever, like something that they make themselves. They can make just a bunch of this one box. I kind of thought that they would benefit in the same way that, you know, the big three console manufacturers do, where they're making so many of this one thing that they can kind of make manufacturing more efficient and therefore more affordable. If you're mass producing this stuff, then you're able to, you know, basically get a better price for everything, and that's going to help with your profit, so you can potentially sell it at a lower price. You know, I mean, that's the thing about PC gaming versus console gaming. PC gamers will often make fun of these weak, puny consoles, but really when you look at like the value for the money spent, like consoles are usually a pretty darn good deal because they are producing these things by the millions, by the tens of millions. And since they own these big platforms, they can sell them at either a loss or, like, you know, something like breaking even, and that's why we get a relatively good deal on it. I always thought that that was the point of a Steam machine, especially because it's Valve. They own Steam. They make so much money from the platform. They stand to make so much money from anybody purchasing one of these machines. I kind of always thought they would want to price it aggressively. I kind of thought them making a Steam machine would kind of be like them not exactly like entering the console space as like a genuine competitor, but at least kind of dipping into it a bit, you know, offering us something that feels like a good deal. And yeah, again, I don't know if that was ever really the point or not, but if that was the point, then this is not doing it. This ain't doing it for me, bucko. Yeah, no, starting at $1,000. It's a real shame. And maybe, if anything, this being like this dedicated piece of hardware that they had to create, maybe now that's kind of a downside, because, you know, they had to do all of this R&D making this thing, and maybe, if anything, that's increased the cost, because I looked it up, and at least briefly, it looked like there were a number of people claiming that you could build a PC of similar or even greater power to the Steam machine for less money. Like, you could make your own Steam machine with basically the same specs for less money than the Steam machine, which I mean, you know, definitely makes you think, well, then what actually is the point? What is the point? But then, you know, to be fair, the Steam machine is a cool little thing, you know, in that kind of console sort of way. It is just a nice little box, you know, that you kind of just plug in, and there you go. And then again, as with the Steam Deck, it runs Steam OS. It's all just right there on the box when you buy it. It's all easy to use. It's easy to access the Steam storefront. It's the convenience of not having to build that PC, which would inevitably have a much bigger case and have a lot more troubleshooting as you try to build it. So, you know, there is the convenience factor of having this nice little plug and play box. So, like, that does add to the value. But now you're skirting this weird kind of in-between space where, like, if you're already a PC gamer, there's a good chance that you're already kind of used to this, kind of used to building your own PCs and handling your own components. Whereas if you're a console gamer, you want like me, you know, you want like just the convenience, the plug and play, the compact boxes. Like, is this actually going to tempt you to get more into PC gaming at this price? Is this actually going to kind of bridge that gap? Because that really does seem like that kind of was the point. Even if it wasn't to, like, I don't know, to create like a super duper cheap box or anything, but like that had to be the point, at least bridging the gap a little bit, right? Creating a PC that was at least more like a console to try to get console people to come over to PC. But yeah, I don't know. At $1,000 for the basic model with no controller, I mean, not that you like really need a controller, so maybe that's not so bad. And you know, this is a PC, so you can definitely get away with not buying the better storage, because you can just plug a hard drive into it or whatever. So maybe even like versus the Steam Deck, you could argue that you're pretty okay just getting the 512 gigabyte model. So maybe you're all right getting that $1,049 model, but you know, after tax, it's gonna be about over $1,100. I don't know. It's just kind of a hard sell. And I don't know, I'm kind of struggling to see the point of this now. You know, like, there's like one part of me that, like, I don't know, to be fair, maybe this was only gonna be bought by enthusiasts anyway. You know, people who bought the Steam Decks, people who are super plugged into the whole Steam ecosystem. You know, maybe they didn't intend for this to be a real market competitor. It was just going to be a machine that they made some number of units and sold them, and that's fine. And whoever is buying these things, maybe they make some sort of money on the hardware, and then those people will keep buying Steam games, I suppose. I mean, it's not like this is gonna make them buy more Steam games. That's every time I try to justify it, I lose the thread. People who are already in the ecosystem are not gonna buy more games because they bought one of these things. They're buying this product because they like the product, and I just can't see that many people buying it, you know, especially not coming over from the console space. Those people are just going to stick with their consoles. And so now you just have these boxes, and now it's like, okay, well, how many of these boxes are you making? How much money are you making on each one? Is it really just about making some small amount of money on each box, and that's just kind of it? There's no greater plan. This is just it's a product you could buy. You could buy it if you want, but like that's it. It's not really like building toward anything. Was that really worth all of the investment, all of the R&D, all of the time, all of the hype, all of the marketing? Was it worth it? I don't know. Maybe there is a greater point that I'm not seeing, or there was a point and then AI, yada yada. You know what I mean? Like, it could be that their original plan to release this for 700 something, that would have been pretty all right. It wouldn't have been too bad, you know, like if you look at the original prices of all these current gen systems, you know, $500 was kind of the standard. So it's, you know, $750. That's still higher, but it's not that much higher. If it offered like a pretty good chunk of power, if it's a pretty darn good PC you get for that price, I could see that enticing someone who's like, all right, I've been buying consoles for however many years, but I've been like always thinking about getting a PC, but I don't want to deal with all that. Oh, okay. This price for a PC that's basically like a console? All right. For that price point, I could have seen that working at least a lot better. But yeah, it could just be they were basically forced to increase prices. Otherwise, you know, you can't just, I mean, I know they're Valve, I know they're super hyper mega rich and all that, but like nobody wants to release a product and just eat just hundreds of dollars on each unit for basically no reason. You're just losing money. They were basically forced to increase the prices, and now they just are in the situation that they are in. So I don't know what their thoughts are. I don't know what their plans are. Again, I really don't follow most of this stuff very closely, but yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like I end a lot of videos like that recently, just being like, yep, yeah, I don't know, man.